Welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a deep dive into some end times theories from the YouTube channel. The 11 sign.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of their stuff.
Yeah, and they have some pretty, I guess you could say, controversial ideas about how a lot of traditional church teachings might actually be leaving Christians unprepared for what's coming.
Yeah, they're definitely not afraid to challenge the status quo.
No, not at all. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
For sure.
They really encourage viewers to go back to the Bible themselves.
Yeah.
Especially the book of Luke chapter 17.
Okay.
And see how it connects to other end times prophecies like the Olivet Discourse and the book of Revelation.
Interesting. So how do they interpret those passages, especially Luke 17?
Well, they claim that a lot of prophecy teachers, the ones people usually rely on for guidance,
Right.
have actually misinterpreted or even misplaced some key teachings. And that's left people vulnerable.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
Yeah, and they make this really interesting comparison between the instructions given to first century Christians in Jerusalem right before its destruction and the instructions that Jesus gives about his second coming.
I can see the parallels there for sure.
Right. Like in Luke 17, Jesus tells his disciples to flee when they see certain signs and to not even worry about their possessions.
That's right.
And then when he talks about his return, he uses very similar language.
Oh, wow.
Don't go back for your stuff. Remember Lot's wife? She looked back and turned into a pillar of salt.
Yeah, that's a powerful image.
Definitely a warning against clinging to earthly attachments.
It makes you think.
And that's where their interpretation gets really interesting. They connect this whole idea of leaving possessions behind
Okay.
to the concept of losing your life to preserve it.
Wow.
Imagine being ready to leave everything, your house, your stuff, even loved ones,
Wow.
to follow Christ.
That's a whole other level of commitment.
It is, and they believe that's the level of readiness we need.
So they're talking about a complete shift in priorities.
Exactly. Your focus has to be entirely on your relationship with Christ and the promise of a new life.
Wow.
And they drive this point home with their interpretation of that passage about the two men sleeping and the two women grinding.
Oh, yeah. The one where some are taken and some are left behind.
Exactly. They believe your readiness will determine what happens to you on that day.
So are they talking about a literal left behind scenario like in those movies?
It seems like they draw a pretty direct link between that passage and the rapture.
Wow. And what do they say happens to the people who are left behind?
Well, they paint a pretty grim picture. Satan being cast down to earth. The beast emerges, and those who weren't prepared face intense persecution.
So it's not a good situation to be in.
Not at all. It's a pretty stark warning about the dangers of not being ready for Christ's return.
Makes you think twice about what it means to be prepared.
It definitely does.
They even bring up the book of Revelation. You know that part about the sixth seal where people are hiding in caves terrified of what's happening?
Yeah.
They say that wouldn't be the reaction of someone who is truly ready for Christ to come back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's more like fear and hiding.
Right, exactly. It's the opposite of the joy and anticipation you'd expect from someone who's eagerly waiting for his return.
Totally. So it's interesting how they frame all of this. They're not saying that you have to earn your salvation or anything. It's more about how your actions show your true faith
I see.
and how much you prioritize Christ over everything else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They believe that a true understanding of the end times should make us feel a sense of urgency.
Right. We need to get ready.
Exactly. We need to prepare ourselves and our loved ones.
So what does it actually mean to be ready in their view?
Well, they get pretty specific about that. They challenge people to really look at how attached they are to material possessions,
Okay.
their comfort, their routines, all that stuff.
Interesting.
And they even suggest that holding on to those things can actually prevent us from fully embracing the new life that Christ offers.
That's pretty deep. It challenges a lot of the comforts that many Christians, especially in the West, kind of take for granted.
It does. And they don't shy away from the consequences of not being prepared.
Right.
They talk about the persecution that Christians who are left behind will face, the rise of the Antichrist, the chaos and suffering that will engulf the world.
Yeah, but that's heavy stuff.
And they even say that those who are taken in the rapture will be spared from all of that.
Wow. So they're really emphasizing the importance of being ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now this is where it gets even more interesting. They actually challenge the traditional interpretation of Paul's teachings on the rapture.
Really? How so?
They argue that the church wrongly attributes the concept of the rapture to Paul, when in fact Jesus himself talked about it in Luke 17.
That's a bold claim.
It is. But they back it up by pointing out that Paul's writings were mostly focused on explaining the implications of the rapture to the early church. I see. Not necessarily introducing the concept itself.
Okay, that makes sense.
They believe that the church has kind of misrepresented Paul's teachings on that.
Interesting. So what do they want people to do with this information?
They urge viewers to go back to those passages themselves, compare them to the traditional interpretations, and draw their own conclusions.
So they're encouraging people to think for themselves.
Exactly. It's about sparking a conversation and getting people to engage with the Bible on a deeper level.
Yeah, I can respect that.
And it's not just about understanding it intellectually. It's about actually living out your faith.
Right.
Through your actions, your choices, your willingness to sacrifice for Christ.
So they're saying that we need to wake up and realize what's at stake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the most striking things about their message is this emphasis on personal responsibility.
Okay.
Like they say that each person is accountable for their own readiness,
I see.
and that just relying on what the church teaches isn't enough.
It's a call to take ownership of your own beliefs.
Exactly. They want people to study the scriptures for themselves and be prepared to stand alone if they have to.
It's a powerful message for sure.
It is. So to sum it all up, the 11.11 Signs message basically boils down to a few key points.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, traditional church teachings on the end times might be incomplete or even misleading,
Yeah, they definitely say that.
and that can leave a lot of Christians unprepared.
True.
Second, true readiness goes beyond just believing in Christ. It requires a willingness to abandon earthly attachments, live a life of sacrifice and service, and be ready to face persecution.
They're not sugarcoating anything.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And third, the events described in the Bible could happen at any time.
So we need to be ready.
Exactly. It's crucial to take these teachings seriously and prepare ourselves and our loved ones.
They also emphasize going straight to the source.
Yeah.
Reading the Bible for yourself rather than just accepting what other people say.
Exactly. They want people to engage with the text, ask questions, challenge their own assumptions.
It's all about seeking truth for yourself.
It's a call to action, a plea for Christians to wake up and grasp the seriousness of the situation.
It's definitely a message that will resonate with some people and maybe even make others uncomfortable.
For sure. But it's definitely worth considering carefully. Yeah, it's a lot to process, for sure. But they really want you to think critically about your faith and how you view the end times.
Yeah, it's not just about accepting a set of beliefs. It's about going back to the scriptures yourself and forming your own conclusions.
Yeah, like they're not just telling you what to think, they're giving you the tools to explore for yourself.
Exactly.
It's like they're handing you a flashlight and a map and saying, go explore this territory, see what resonates with you, what challenges you.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
It's about taking ownership of your own spiritual journey.
And that journey, as they say, it goes beyond just head knowledge. It's about aligning your life, your actions, your priorities with the truth as you understand it.
Absolutely. So if any of this has piqued your interest even a little bit, I'd encourage you to check out the source material yourself. Yeah, definitely. Read Luke 17, explore the Olivet Discourse, delve into Revelation, see what those passages say to you directly.
That's always a good idea.
It is. Maybe this deep dive has sparked something in you. A desire to dig deeper, question assumptions, approach your faith with a renewed sense of urgency and purpose.
That's what we hope for.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 11.1 of Science perspective on the end times.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has, and we hope it's encouraged you to keep exploring these ideas and to engage with the Bible on a deeper level.
Yeah, keep seeking truth.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for listening, everybody.